each other there. It's a little bit tighter now, I would say, than it was earlier. So there's the potential for a tornado within this storm, and also those winds up to potentially 90 miles per hour. This right here, I still don't think that it's co-located with that velocity from earlier, Andrew. So I still don't think that that's debris being lofted. I think that that's out ahead of the storm. Andrew, is National Weather Service giving any additional updates on this?
No, there's just talking about the extreme velocities.
Okay.
Also seeing the low-level circulation starting to tighten.
Okay.
Destructive winds likely along the path of the storm in Coffee County.
They're saying by low-level circulation, that means closer to the surface. So
yes.
We knew that there was mid-level rotation, a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, but now there's more rotation lower, closer to the ground, and that would be right in here where we have the potential for a tornado. So some of these smaller roads, and I may have to get close to the TV here to see them: County Road 312, County Road 305, County Road 304, County Road 315, all the way to Highway 87. You folks are the ones that have the highest threat for severe weather, specifically damaging wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour possible. That may have just been a brief thing, but possible here. I'd say anywhere 70 plus miles per hour, more of a guarantee within this storm at this point. Also the threat for a tornado here within this area, and it's right here. You can barely tell that there's a hook there. Let's go back to our storm relative velocity, and you can see that red and that green really starting to tighten up, and there's a bit of a loss of values in there, so that's probably where the center of circulation is. This may be a very large area of rotation. It's not super tight, so it may not be a small tornado. It may be something that could potentially be larger. So I think that this has a large base up near the cloud base that is, and it's crossing over 87, Highway 87 here within the next couple of minutes. So like I mentioned earlier, the Shady Groves area, you guys just north of you on the Lowry Mills area. Maybe if I zoom out or zoom in just a little bit more, it may show us some more of the cities in this area. Bluff Springs, this is just blown right through you guys, and I would not be surprised if there are a lot of power outages there. Again, if you're on antenna and you're not getting good signal, just tune in WDHN's Facebook page. We're going to be live there for the entirety of this morning, and as long as this storm looks as bad as it looks right now. So you've got the red, the green. It's not perfectly tight with each other, but it's definitely surrounding itself, at least one specific area, and it looks like there's some pretty good rotation associated with this. It's going to be moving through Jack. I gave you guys that heads up about almost 10 minutes ago now. Jack area, you guys want to be in your safe place right now. Again, if it's a mobile home, best thing that you can do is hop into the bathtub and throw a bunch of sheets and heavy blankets, maybe even a small mattress over you, and get the kids in there first, of course. If you play sports, you got some helmets. You may want to put on a baseball helmet or a football helmet, any sort of thing to protect your head. That's a really good idea right now. It's now over the Jack area with that latest scan that we got that just came in. It's over Highway 87 right now. So it's going to be on the eastern side of this. Those that are on the western side, not giving you the all clear yet. But if you are west of Bluff Springs, if you're going to be closer to the Crenshaw or Covington County lines, you guys are going to be safe from this storm, but there's another line that's moving through, and we'll talk more about that in a second here. But those that are along and east of Highway 87, you guys want to be in your safe place, especially those that are at the intersection of County Road 206, and County Road 205. So County Road 206 and 205, you guys want to be in your safe place. Those that are going to be in Andrew, I'm going to get this wrong again, 167, those in Highway 167, you've only got a couple of minutes. Those that are in Chestnut Grove, you guys want to be heading to your safe place, because this is going to pass through your area or just south of you at this point. Let me zoom back out just a little bit here so we can see if we can catch some more communities. We said it would be just north of Lowry Mill. That's exactly where it is. Heading into Jack as we speak, probably over Jack right now, and heading toward Chestnut Grove within the next 5, maybe 7 minutes or so. The worst of it will stay south of Wilkinstown, but you guys are definitely getting some very gusty winds up there, no doubt about that. Let's talk about, Andrew, see if there are any extra updates, and you can just wave your hand and let me know if you see anything additional. But there's still this inflow notch here, those green values. Those are lower rain values, so the density of rain there isn't quite as intense as all these other places. So that means winds going into this thing, these are winds wrapping around it and back out. So the highest winds are going to be here through Jack down toward Lowry Mill, all the way toward Shady Grove as well. That's where the highest wind gusts are pushing out of this storm. Winds going into the storm are just south of Wilkinstown, and this is where it is wrapping up right over the Jack area. So no guarantee that there's a tornado on the ground right now. We can give you a better explanation of that if we look at our debris tracker over Jack, and I'm still not seeing any debris, so it still doesn't quite look like there's any sort of strong tornado, or maybe not even a weak one, lifting things up. We don't see things being lofted into the atmosphere at this point. Doesn't mean that there can't be one, but it doesn't look like it's hitting anything and lifting up. But we do know that winds are pushing out of the storm forward, may not be lifting up, but pushing forward around 60 to potentially 90 miles per hour at times. Andrew, have they brought down that that estimation of the winds associated with this?
No, they're still talking about it, and they mentioned here lately that they're going to extend the severe thunderstorm warning over into Dale County, and they're still talking about intense velocities on the radar. So I would imagine it'll have another considerable tag.
Most likely. So for 70+ mile per hour winds. Yes. So again, this is in the Wilkinstown and Jack area. Just technically south of Wilkinstown is where the area of rotation is, but you're still getting very gusty winds. The highest winds are going to be moving through Chestnut Grove and through Lowry Mill. I think that the worst of it's going to miss Victoria, meaning the worst of it. Doesn't mean that you guys won't get 40 to 60 mile per hour winds. You just probably won't get the potential for 70+ mile per hour winds. So again, it's going to be in the far northern reaches of Coffee County. You see this orange line right here. North of it is Pike, south of it is Coffee County, and this storm is just barely riding along the northern edge of Coffee County and will continue to do so for at least the next 15 minutes or so until it makes it into Dale County, and then it's going to be Dale County's problem all the way along that northern edge. Those that are in Barber County as well, Pike County, it's a good idea to watch this, but Barber County, if this thing continues more of a northeasterly jog, it'll make it into your all's area here very, very soon. So I'm sure the National Weather Service in Birmingham is watching that situation closely for you all. Be prepared to get a warning for a severe thunderstorm here soon. So again, County Road 206, this is riding right along you guys in that intersection with 205, and it looks like it's tightened up here, Andrew. So I think that there's potential for a tornado on the ground, or excuse me, for a tornado, maybe not necessarily something on the ground now, but there is tighter rotation in Chestnut Grove. This is going to pass right in your area or just south of you. So I don't know how to say this one. I'm going to be honest. Tarentum, maybe. I think the main area of circulation stays south of you guys, but it's going to be passing just through Chestnut Grove or just south. It's getting ready to cross over Highway 167 within, give it 2 minutes, and it's going to be on the eastern side of it. So those that are now west of 87, you guys no longer concerned with this storm, but again, there's another line behind this. This storm specifically crossing over 167 within the next couple minutes, riding right along County Road 206, just passed through Jack. Wouldn't be surprised if we started getting some reports from Coffee County EMA of trees down. Yes, sir.
Okay, so new severe thunderstorm warning to the east of this. They do have a tornado possible tag, and then considerable wind damage, 70 miles per hour for Coffee, Dale, and Henry until 3:45.
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to extend this tornado warning here soon, as long as this thing holds together, because it is tighter now than it was earlier. That's for sure. The lower levels of circulation significantly tighter, and it still has that hook, and it has this notch in here where the winds are going in. You can actually see with the bright purples here and the really dark reds, that inner hook right there shows a very, very intense storm when you can see just the heaviest rain really getting wrapped around in here. So this is a very, very strong storm, potentially producing a tornado right now in northern Coffee County. It just moved through Jack. I'm not saying it's safe to come out of your safe place there, because you're still going to have super heavy rains right along 87, but those that are further west of 87, within the next few minutes, things are going to start lightening up, and you're going to see less of the heavy rain. Your winds are going to start dying down some, but there's another line behind this one. But I still want to stay focused on this storm right here. Andrew, if maybe you could check on your phone just to see if there's anything additional happening further behind this storm, because this one deserves all of our attention right now while we're up here on the screen. And
nothing that I see.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing for our area at least.
All right, sounds good. So Chestnut Grove, this is moving into your all's area as we speak. This is going to be a very strong storm with winds over 60 miles per hour, potentially up to 70, 75 miles per hour at times. And we'll see if it still has the potential for 90 mile per hour winds here. There's still, some very strong winds on the southern side of this thing. You'll notice you don't see green and red touching here. But as soon as we take it over to our storm relative velocity, which takes into account the motion of the storm, now you see green and red touching. You see this brighter green here just north of 272, County Road 272 at the intersection with 167, some red and some bright bluish green right across from each other. So this is going to be the area of a potential tornado right now. Again, there's a tornado warned storm moving through northern Coffee County. There are no other warnings associated with this portion of the line, to my knowledge, right? Or tornado warnings, I should say.
Yeah, there's no more tornado warnings.
No more tornado warnings. So you see a whole lot of rain further down south and west of us, from Andalusia all the way down to Pensacola. Those storms haven't given us any hint of potential rotation, nor any hint of also damaging wind gusts. So Zion Chapel School in Coffee County, the radar okay, let's see, is it 3 p.m.? Okay, so some of the schools are choosing to hold all of their students and the buses as well, and I definitely don't blame them for that. They're not sure about any damage outside, but they are going to be holding some of the buses, and so you may want to call your school and ask, hey, is my kid going to be delayed getting home? This isn't in the Dothan area yet. They should have just let out recently. I think that everybody's going to be able to get home before it moves through the area, but those that are in northern Coffee County and northern Dale County, this is moving into your area right now. It's south of Troy, so if you have students in Troy, and don't worry about them at this point. It doesn't look like there are any severe storms behind this either. So I think that Troy folks are going to get through this thing just fine. But those that are in northern Coffee into northern Dale, this is a very, very strong storm that has been riding just ahead of the main line throughout the afternoon hours today, and this thing has produced a tornado a couple of different times and has also potentially had 90-mile-per-hour winds with it as it was first getting into Coffee County. Andrew.
So latest update from the National Weather Service, they continue to see intense velocities around 90 miles per hour with this storm.
All right, so they are still seeing some 90-mile-per-hour winds associated with this, and it's going to be those worst of the winds right at that intersection of 167. And Andrew, I cannot quite catch this road here that's crossing the two.
125.
Okay, 125 and 167, right at that crossroads and points north. That is where the worst of the winds are associated with this storm right here. It's going to cross over 231 in Dale County here soon. Hasn't quite gotten to that point, but it's only a matter of a few minutes before it does do so. I'll zoom in a little bit further so we could see some of our smaller communities, nail off some smaller roads here. So yeah, that's 125, Chestnut Grove area. Frisco, you guys got about a minute before this thing really hits you guys, and you're going to hear those winds ramping up. Roten area, you guys are going to want to make sure that you are in your safe place. I mentioned it earlier. It's that innermost room without any windows. Hopefully you're in a brick or very sturdy structure. If you are inside of a mobile home, I think a good idea for you is to get into your bathroom. If you have a bathtub, get into the bathtub and put either a mattress over you, or make sure that you've got the heaviest blankets that you can. Just rip them right off the bed, put the heaviest blankets that you can over you, and if you've got children, put them in there first, of course, and then get on top of them and protect them, because there is the possibility of this thing rolling mobile homes, as well as the potential for knocking over trees onto mobile homes. So getting into that centermost portion is the best place that you can be at this point. New Hope, you guys too should be in your safe place, because while the tornado threat is a little bit further north of you, looks like there's also the potential for the damaging wind gusts further south. So the tornado threat is right over 125 moving into Frisco. That's where the most likely area of circulation is. But then the damaging wind gust threat, it extends a little bit further south. You see it all the way down here, all the way down past New Hope, all the way down to almost Victoria. You've got the leading edge already past you, but where these real bright greens are right here, almost bluish colors between Chestnut Grove and New Hope, that's where the highest wind speeds are associated with not just the tornadic circulation up here, but also some wind still being pushed out, so that outflow just being shoved out of this storm, and that's going to be impacting those that are in the Java community and New Hope community. Trees down, a possibility. Be careful on the roadways this evening. Not a good idea to be driving out and about if you don't need to, especially in northern Coffee County. You're probably thinking, is this happening absolutely everywhere across the Wiregrass? No, it's not. It's pretty confined to just one area, and that's northern Coffee moving into Dale County over the next 10, 15 minutes or so. The rest of southeast Alabama is still entirely clear. We had some rain earlier today. We're going to get some more showers, and most, if not all, the rest of these storms are fairly weak in nature. We're not seeing, I mean, we can put on our little lightning tracker here. You're going to see most of it associated with that storm. Most of the rest of them are fairly weak. So when you see a big lightning uptick like this up here, you know it's a really strong storm. And this thing has not probably has not lost its lightning count anytime recently. Yeah, there's been a ton of lightning associated with it, and that lightning count's not going down. So it looks like the intensity probably not going down either. So it's going to keep packing these serious winds coming out of it at 70 plus miles per hour up to 90 miles per hour in some very small localized areas in northern Coffee and eventually into northern Dale County as well. And they've extended that warning through, I think, Pike and into Barber as well. So they put a huge warning on this thing because this is an exceptionally strong storm here. Andrew.
So they provided an update about the tornado warning. So they didn't say anything about it being on the ground or anything. So it's still radar indicated, but they're talking about it approaching 231 near the P River Bridge and then moving into Dale County. And actually they just extended the tornado warning into Dale County.
Not surprised. So we don't see it popping up here, but Andrew's gotten confirmation from the National Weather Service that they have chosen to extend this tornado warning. It's going to likely impact or stay just south of the Clio area. That's the tornado warned area itself. But those that are, and you see that small red sliver there, that's where you could tell that there are two National Weather Service offices in not necessarily competition with each other, but Tallahassee can only warn for Dale County. But don't be surprised, those that are in Barber and Pike County, if you get a warning here soon, I think that you probably will if the National Weather Service in Birmingham is watching this one as closely as we are. I think that they'll probably, this warning very likely has a tornado possible tag to it, the severe thunderstorm warning, but I do think that they'll put out a red box for you, a tornado warning for the Clio area and just south of Brundage. So the main area of concern is right over just to the west of 231, but within the next scan, it's going to be right on 231 in the far northern reaches of Dale County. Let's zoom into that spot so you guys can see. I think Ayrton is obviously up in this direction. Yeah, it's going to move right through Ayrton most likely or stay just to the north of you guys. So those that are in Ayrton, you now need to be in your safe place because this is an exceptionally strong storm that could be producing a tornado, is definitely producing 60 mile per hour winds, and could be producing winds up to 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour as it crosses over 231 and moving directly toward or just north of Ayrton. Your safe place is that innermost room. If you play sports, we know we've got a big sports school up there in Ayrton. Make sure that you guys have your helmets on. Put the helmets on the kids. Put the football helmets on the kids. I don't normally say this sort of thing unless I'm very confident in the possibility of trees falling onto mobile homes or potentially onto houses and going through them. And just having a little bit of extra protection because of that debris falling from the ceiling could very well help save your life or at least prevent extreme brain damage there. So we're keeping a close eye on this one. Looks like they expired that last warning, Andrew, and now they're just, for this thin stretch here, is the technical warned area for a potential tornado. We're not saying that it's on the ground. That's why we're saying potential tornado, because we haven't gotten any confirmation from National Weather Service or from our debris tracker here. The only spot that might be it, Andrew, could be this right here. I paused it so we can try and compare it. No, I think that that's just way too far off at this point, unless you can tell on your phone whether or not this scan is a little bit further behind than the rest.
Yeah.
So check that for me and get back to me on that because it looks like it's okay. Yeah. So our main area of circulation is still just south of Pike and Barber counties, and it's staying in Coffee and moving into Dale as we speak. And actually, has it already moved out of Coffee? I can't see the county lines where we're at right now.
I think it is still in Coffee County because there's a very small part of 231 that goes into Coffee County.
Yeah, so it's still in Coffee County. It's moving into Dale. Does not look like there's any debris associated with this thing right now. We'll go back to that and show you guys where it was saying the debris was. So it was saying that there may have been a little bit of debris up here, but no longer looks to be the case. And I'll click off of this so you guys, there we go, we got that out of the way. So doesn't look like there's any debris being lofted right now. Definitely exceptionally strong winds associated with this. Richard, if there are any questions from the public, could you get those to me? That would be great. So it's crossing right now, right at the intersection of Pike, Coffee, and Dale counties. So that's exactly where this thing is located here and will be over the next 5 minutes or so. You could tell that there's definitely a hook associated with this thing. Real heavy rain with the forward flank here, and then we've got the winds wrapping around this thing, bringing that heavy rain all the way around the storm. So it is definitely rotating. There is an inflow notch right here, but it doesn't look like it's tight enough for us to be able to confirm a tornado on the ground. Andrew?
Okay, so we do have some reports of damage from Coffee County.
Okay, where are they at?
So we've got, first of all, a wreck and I'm
Okay.
assuming that's a result of this. Power lines and trees down around Alabama 87 between Zion Chapel School and the post office in Jack.
Okay.
And then I think we already report on Zion Chapel, I believe. Also reports of minor damage to Zion Chapel School. Again,
Okay.
they're working to confirm school reports.
So and I'm not surprised by that because it was in that northern Coffee County area, and that's why they said we're going to hold back the kids for now, and I appreciate them doing that. Wouldn't be surprised if Dale County decided to do that for these schools in the northern area. Ayrton folks, they may already be on the roadways. So I don't know how to get in contact with bus drivers in that regard, but it's the best thing to do if schools have not let out yet, buses haven't picked the kids up yet, is to just keep those kids in the school because they're safer there than anywhere else. This thing will be over in a matter of, once it gets to you, give it about 15 minutes and it'll be gone. And then, you know, they can start rounding up the kids to get them back out to schools. You may notice that red box that just popped up in Pike in Barber County. They said they would put a warning on it, and they finally did. And that includes Clio, does not include Brundage because it's south of them, but includes Clio. Those that are asking about Dothan, we are good to go. And the other areas could not give you a response on because I think that they, if you could find out where those ones are for me, they're smaller areas. But the Ayrton folks, you guys, this is moving through, getting ready to move through your area right now. People are asking about some other areas here in the Wiregrass, and I want to show you all that this is the only storm that we are concerned with at this point. Everybody south of northern Dale County, you've just got some regular rain. I haven't seen any signs of rotation associated with these storms. Yeah, it doesn't look like any sort of sign of rotation, and I haven't seen any signs of extreme winds either associated with these storms on the southern edge. So there's only one spot, and it's here in northern Dale in northern Coffee County, and it's going to move into Henry as well as Barber County right now, or excuse me, over the next 30 minutes.
So I wanted to report from the newsroom, Ayrton is holding their kids.
Okay, Ayrton has chosen to hold their kids. I think that's a great decision because these buses obviously are very large vehicles, and they've got just such a broad side that as soon as you get on the roadways, doesn't matter how much that thing weighs, 90-mile-per-hour winds can just swipe that bus off the road. So they have decided to hold their kids in Ayrton, and that way they're keeping them safe for you guys. And we had this discussion with the Houston County superintendents and Dothan superintendent the other day, and both of them, you know, we talked in depth about timing of leaving school and arriving to school and how important that was for keeping students and faculty members safe. So they are doing, superintendents up there and staff administration are doing their absolute best in Ayrton to keep your kids safe. Again, this is south up Brundage, and it's right in the Ayrton area. I mean, it's going to be moving right through Ayrton or just north of it over the next less than 5 minutes as it's passing through. Okay, yeah, that's pretty far out of our area. So Jefferson County folks, don't have an answer for you guys up there. You guys have other stations that you can watch, but I think that you're probably safer than us down here. Most of those have already passed through if that's in central Alabama. So right along the Dale and Barber and Pike County line area right there in Coffee County where they all meet up near Ayrton. That's where this center of circulation is and where the highest winds are. It's Highway 125, I believe, 123, excuse me. This is where we have a potential for 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts associated with this storm. Let me do our little checker here. That's coming from the National Weather Service. This is saying 86-mile-per-hour winds. So up to 90-mile-per-hour winds possible within this storm, which is the strongest that I have seen since I have been down here over the past almost 3 years now. So pretty crazy situation going on in northern Dale and into northern Coffee County as well. We'll take this off. This is very heavy rain being wrapped around. I have not seen any hail associated with this, at least when I was looking earlier today. And there's the possibility, but it doesn't look like a real high chance of hail associated with this. I think that this is just detecting very, very heavy rain and maybe some very small hail higher up in the atmosphere. But there could be some small hail. Doesn't look like large hail associated with this storm, though. Of course, the main threat is going to be the damaging winds and also the potential for a tornado. And it's going to be, let me zoom back out just a little bit for you guys so we can see that county line. I know that that helps out a lot of folks, and it helps me too. It's officially, the worst of it is officially out of Coffee County. So if you're in Coffee County and points west, now you're just going to deal with moderate to heavy rain. Those that are right at this intersection area of Pike, Dale, and Barber counties, that's where the center of circulation is. It's moving through Ayrton or just north with the center of circulation, but there are very gusty winds all along the southern side of this thing, from Ayrton all the way down 51 here and into Coffee County as well. So this is definitely going to be our strongest storm of the day and has been the strongest one that we've had so far, but it's starting to move out of our technical viewing area. We'll stay on Facebook Live with it as it moves through Barber County, at least up until Clio, and then after that, you guys got to watch those stations that are up in Montgomery. They'll be able to give you better and more localized information.
I was going to say, actually, with Barber County, it'll be the Columbus, Georgia market.
Okay, Columbus, Georgia market.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Can you rattle off a few of the stations up there for Barber County folks to listen to?
Okay, so WRBL is our sister station up in Columbus. That's the one I would tune into.
I would definitely tune into WRBL if you are in Barber County and you're in Clio or points north. You guys, or points south, I should say, Clio and points south. You guys want to be listening to WRBL. They'll be giving you the most up-to-date information there. We're going to focus primarily on Dale County and the far southern edge of Barber County because I know that we still have some viewers in that area. So this storm right here, I keep doing this motion because I want you to see that there's very heavy rain up here, but then extremely gusty winds on the southern side. And this is just how the winds work with this. It wraps around like that. So it starts up here and it comes around like that. And you got winds that are going into the storm right there. So this is definitely a storm that has rotation, definitely a storm that's producing very, very gusty winds and has already been confirmed to have caused damage over in Zion Chapel area. I haven't gotten any confirmation from Jack yet, but it moved right over Jack. Gant Lake, just north of Andalusia, they had reports of numerous trees down, and that's because of potentially 90-mile-per-hour winds with this storm. It may be confined to a fairly small area, but we're still going to stay on this thing because it's a very impactful storm for those that are within that small area. Andrew.
Okay, so I wanted to note something with this tornado warning. So yes, it's going to be moving into that far southern part of Barber County, but if it keeps going kind of on this east-northeast trajectory, the far northern part of Henry County,
yes,
we're going to have to watch that in a little bit.
And again, that's why part of the reason that we're going to stay on it. If it were going more northerly through Clio and up toward Louisville and Barber, we would probably, within the next few minutes, go off the air because at that point, you've got WRBL to cover you guys. But because it's traveling in an almost due east, it's an east-northeasterly trajectory, it could very well impact Henry County. We still got a lot of viewers up there north of Abbeville, so that's going to be a spot, the next spot that this thing could move into for the WDHN technical viewing area. But we've got some viewers in southern Barber. We want to keep you guys safe. This is just south of 131 and 50. It's actually crossed over 51 here over the past couple of minutes with just the very leading edge of it. The main potential area of circulation is just behind or just west of 51 there, coming out of Clio on the southern edge. So we're going to watch as this thing moves over that major route there, 51, from Ayrton up toward Clio. Fortunately, the worst area of circulation is north of Ayrton, and I'll show you guys that here on our storm relative velocity, just north of Ayrton, and I assume that that includes the school as well. So this is officially right on that county line of Dale and Barber County, and it's going to keep skirting along it until eventually it potentially makes its way into Henry County over here. So, and they are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning yet, but a severe thunderstorm warning. So National Weather Service has been keeping their eye on this one for quite some time. So have we. We did a TV cut-in earlier. We talked about it on Facebook Live earlier this afternoon and just knew that this one had a very different look than most of the others. And you may notice now a very bright blip of green here. I think that those winds have picked back up even more in that circulation. It's still spinning like a top out there. Not quite all the way to the ground potentially, but still higher in the atmosphere, still spinning. So that's what we're hoping does not happen. We're hoping it doesn't reach all the way to the ground, but there is the possibility of that. And Andrew, we're going to go to shear just to see, yeah, very high shear values here. So again, there's very, very high possibility of this thing actually dropping. And this, you know, we haven't seen this since we've had our Barron system. This is the first time we've had extreme values pop up here on our map. In southern Barber County is where this thing is. We'll zoom into it in just a second, but let's go back to radar, and you can see that this right here is an inflow notch. That's winds going into the storm. These are winds down here coming out of the storm, and that's where they're wrapping up around each other. The highest wind gusts are going to be on the southern side of this thing, so they've already moved through or are moving through Ayrton and going to keep pushing east right along the northern portion of Dale County, right along the southern portion of Barber County, south of Clio. Clio, your activity is going to pick up here. You're already hearing the booms of thunder, and you're seeing flashes of lightning, and that rain is going to pick up cats and dogs is what it's going to be, no doubt about it. But south of you guys is where the main area of concern is for rotation. So I think that Clio, you're right on the northern edge of this tornado warning. I think that you guys are going to stay outside of the worst of it, that area of circulation. But it's still a good idea to be in your safe place and keep watching us on WDHN Facebook Live or WRBL's Facebook Live or live on TV as long as you still have connection up there. So yes, Richard. Let's see. Thank you. Yeah, New Brockton, Coffee County area. You guys are looking good. At this point, we'll zoom back out, and you guys don't have any sort of storms right now, and all the storms that are moving into your area significantly weaker, and I mean a whole lot weaker than those that are on the northern edge of this thing, specifically this one right here. There is only one area of concern, and Andrew, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you see something else on your phone over there, you want to check for other areas of rotation along this line, but I have so far only seen one, and National Weather Service has only told us about one. And it is right here in northern Dale in southern Barber County. You see a ton of lightning upticks here. All the rest of these storms, just moderate to heavy rain with a few lightning strikes, maybe some gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour. But the rest of them look significantly tamer than what this one is that's moving right along our northern counties of Dale and Henry County and into Barber too. So this is going to be our main focus, just like it has been over the past 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so. And we may stick with this thing almost until showtime at 5 o'clock. So we may be on here for a little while. Now it's coming up with our little rotational signature from the Barron weather system. So that gives us even more confidence that there is higher rotation associated with this thing. And let's see. Yeah, we got a little. I think that we got much tighter rotation of that green and that red just south of Clio and northeast of Ayrton. Yeah, you see this green and that red meeting up with each other there right along County Road 13. So this is going to be the most likely spot for a tornado, County Road 13 in southern Barber County. Yeah. And it's just outside of Dale County at this point, but could potentially re-enter. You see this slight orange box over here? This is Henry County. So if it manages to stay together, it's going to move into the far northern reach of Henry County, which is why we are still on this thing. Andrew, take it away for just a second.
All righty, yeah. So yeah, this rotation now solidly is into southern Barber County, but we still have that tornado warning that remains in effect for the far northern reaches of Dale County. That goes out till 3:45. And you see,
Andrew, that gray logo, I may have gotten that wrong. I said rotation, but that may be a debris signature. Is that what that was? From them?
I don't believe so, but I can check.
Yeah, look at this right here. So that's it detecting debris. That was my mistake earlier.
Yeah,
so yeah, debris right along County Road 13. That gray icon is a debris indicator. So it looks like there is a tornado on the ground south of Clio, which is why we wanted to stay on this thing. We knew eventually at some point there was a good chance it was going to be dropping a tornado, and it is just outside. Just outside of Dale County. Yeah. So, but it's still traveling east-northeast, almost due easterly, right, Andrew?
Yeah, and they just noted it here with the tornadic debris signature in the chat.
Okay.
But they said it's just north of the Dale Park, Barber County, along 51 north of Ayrton.
So yeah, this is going to move across Jerusalem Road here very soon, move across Highway 10 very soon. The worst part of this storm, I know Clio folks, you guys are tuning in and you're like, man, this is really bad up here. It is. It's exceptionally heavy rain, very windy conditions as well, but the area of rotation is just outside of Clio's city limits, most likely, probably right between Clio and the Dale County line. So you guys that are between Clio and Dale County, you guys have got to be in your safe place. We've been waiting for this one to drop a tornado for a long time. Even if it's not dropping a tornado, it's got gusty winds of 70+ miles per hour, very likely on the southern edge. So those that are in mobile homes, I said this earlier for those in Coffee and Dale County, I'll say the same thing in Barber County. You guys want to hop into that bathtub if you have got one. You want to put a twin-size mattress over it the best you can. If you got a full size, maybe that's not such a bad idea either, because if a tree falls on a mobile home, not a good situation there. You want to have as much covering between you and what's above you. And even if the tree doesn't land on you, there's still portions of roofs as well. And you want to avoid anything landing on you in your head. I talked about those that play sports and have a baseball helmet, a football helmet. You guys want to put those onto your children first, or if you just have some from days you played of old, you want to put that onto your head, and you want to stay safe because the head is the most important thing that you can protect here in this situation. But it's very likely that there is a tornado on the ground south of Clio. Let's go back to our velocity, or storm relative velocity, and it doesn't quite look as bright as it was earlier, but it's most likely right here, green and red touching each other south of Route 10 there. So. Or Highway 10, excuse me. So moving toward Jerusalem Road. Those that are along Jerusalem Road, you have got to get into your safe place, that innermost room, into a bathtub, put some heavy, heavy blankets over you, maybe even a mattress over you. I know that that may just sound weird, but this could be a life-threatening situation. I know, Andrew, you can get that for me. Do they have that tag on here, or do they still just have the considerable tag associated with the storm?
Are you talking about the tornado warning?
The life-threatening, yeah. Do they have that on here, or do they have catastrophic? Is it just considerable what they're looking at this point?
For the tornado warning?
Yeah.
For the Dale County one, it's still radar indicated. I would imagine the Birmingham one, though, got upgraded, and I'll check on that.
Yeah, do that for me. So this is out of Dale County now. I know that there is still a warning in Dale County, but I'm going to say that it is safe to say that the main area of circulation is well outside of Dale County, and based on its progression and its movement over the past 30 minutes to an hour or so, there's not really any sort of southern movement with this thing. So I don't think it will be re-entering Dale County. I think it's on a steady progression across Jerusalem Road and across Highway 10, and could very well clip this orange box here. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for Henry County. But while they're not tornado warned right now, wouldn't be surprised if National Weather Service Tallahassee put out a warning for the far northwestern edge of Henry County, because this thing has produced tornadoes in the past, has a debris signature associated with it, or at least did very recently. And doesn't necessarily look like we have a real bright signature there now, but it looked like it at least put a tornado on the ground for a short time period in Barber County. So this is the spot that we're looking at. I'll zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see the progression of this storm over the past hours. So Andrew, if there is a, if you could, I'm going to stop it here, but if you could go to analysis, and you'll have to hit the stop connect, and make sure that you shorten it until probably, let's just do 30 minutes worth of scans. Can you get that for me?
Yeah.
Awesome. You got it? All right. So that way we can.
Hand tracker as well?
Yeah, go ahead and reconnect it. All right. And you got it for me?
Yep.
All right. There we go. So we'll go back to our original setting here, and then we're going to zoom on in to our spot where this tornado warned storm is, like I said, very likely producing a tornado at this point in Barber County. And the green and the red definitely touching each other. Lots of lightning associated with this. Right here is a very tight area of rotation. So you have a lot of lightning, meaning an intense storm. You have a lot of rotation right over Jerusalem Road, getting ready to move over Highway 10 here. Let's see, that is Blue Springs. You guys in Blue Springs want to be in your safe place. Tyler Crossroads, good idea to be in your safe place as well. While the tornadic circulation may stay just south of you, you guys are now inside of a confirmed tornado according to the Barron system here. So they just put out this big purple box, and they're saying that this tornado has definitely been on the ground within the past 5 to 10 minutes or so, and Andrew and I are both in agreement of that.
Yeah. Good news is it doesn't have that catastrophic tag, it's just the observed tag.
Okay, so it's still, you know, an observed tornado on the ground can cause very, very bad damage. But the reason some of the warnings earlier had catastrophic associated with them, or considerable damage associated with them, is because of the straight line winds up to 90 miles per hour. While they weren't rotating as much, they were moving out of the storm just as fast as an EF1 tornado. So this thing, we're not going to put any sort of rating on it because we don't know what kind of damage it's caused. Earlier today, knocked down a lot of trees, caused some roof damage around the I-65 corridor, just north of Gant Lake as well. And then as it continued moving through Crenshaw County, eventually crossed over into Coffee. We got some reports of damage in the Zion Chapel area, and Ayrton hasn't reported any damage, but they did hold their kids back. Ayrton is now outside of the threat with this specific storm. They may hold your children just a little bit longer there, but they're outside of the threat of this specific storm that's now over Jerusalem Road and moving across Highway 10 now. So Highway 10 is kind of more horizontal in fashion than a lot of the other roads that we've been talking about. So it may ride right along it for a short time period and then eventually make its way to County Road 53, or excuse me, 33 or 53?
53.
53. All right. Again, these numbers are real small on the map here. So Highway 10 to County Road 53, basically between County Road, and is this one over here 33?
Yeah, the one to the west is 33 and the one to the east
33
is
to Highway 10. That intersection right there is where the area of rotation is right now. Then it's going to travel in an east-northeasterly direction toward County Road 53, staying just south of Highway 131 for now. I do think because of the route that Highway 131 is, that it's literally going to ride just south of it for an extended period of time if this thing manages to hold together. So we're going to stay on it until it passes all the way through Henry County, and then once it is through Henry County, that's when we'll be done with this storm. So Andrew, take it away for just a second for me.
I would imagine with this tornado warning, so yes, still confirmed tornado right near the junction of Highway 10 and County Road 33 here in southern Barber County. And given the track that this is on, I would imagine we'll probably get a very small tornado warning for the northwestern corner of Henry County.
Andrew, I think that is a really great evaluation there. Yeah. I do think that National Weather Service is going to put a tornado warning out for Henry County, and it's just going to be the northwestern portion of it here. So folks are asking around the Dothan area, what's happening here? Nothing yet. And there are storms that are further off to the west, but they're fairly weak in nature. This is definitely the strongest and most potent storm that we have here in southeast Alabama. It's the only one that has rotation associated with it. And Andrew, keep checking with me on radar scope though, and let me know if you see any other areas of rotation. But this is the only one I've seen, only one that National Weather Service has even indicated that they are concerned about at this point. And you see these much brighter greens, almost blues, associated with the reds here along Highway 10. That is our area of rotation. That is where there's potentially a tornado, and that's where we're going to see if we have any debris right now. So we did have a debris drop earlier. There's a very, very potentially slight one now, but I don't see what we saw earlier. Earlier was a clear indication of a debris signature right there. So you see right there was where a blip of greenish blue came up. So it looked like something touched down and potentially lifted back up. So that is that was where a tornado did touch down, only for a short period of time, but this is a still tornadic looking storm, and it's got this big box here for a confirmed tornado in the purple. So it has been on the ground, potentially still could be on the ground at this point, Andrew.
So they just expired the tornado warning for Dale County?
For Dale County.
Exclusively Barber County?
Yes, so there is no longer a tornado warning in our technical viewing area, but like Andrew and I have already said, we expect them to extend a tornado warning into Henry County. Have they mentioned that yet, National Weather Service Tallahassee? Usually they're pretty quick about that. Yeah,
they're evaluating it right now. They're still watching to see if they're going to extend it.
Okay, and they're probably leaning toward it because it did put down a tornado south of Clio just about 20 minutes ago, maybe even less than that. So I think that they'll probably put a tornado warning out. You're going to hear those sirens go off. Your phone's going to start buzzing, but we're giving you the update right now. If you've got friends in northern Henry County, let them know that a storm that did produce a tornado a short time ago is headed toward their area. And we're talking specifically north of Highway 10, north of Abbeville. You guys are going to be the ones that are in this threat, and it's just the far northwestern corner of Henry County and up into this little bit up here right along Lake Eufaula as well. So that's going to be the area that we're most concerned with. I'm actually going to telestrate it out for you guys. I'll do this right here. So the area of rotation is going to stay north of this white line. Abbeville is not in a threat for this tornadic storm. Those that are north of Abbeville, well north, again in the far northern reaches of Henry County, you guys are the ones that are going to get this storm passing by your area. Wind gusts of 60+ miles per hour and potentially a tornado associated with this one as well. So we've been on this storm for quite some time. And, you know, this has been a bit of a different day than what I think a lot of meteorologists were expecting, as those data and the models started updating last night, started to point to a slightly different situation, which is why this morning Andrew said that risk has been increased to an enhanced risk for some portions, and all of us were put underneath that slight risk. But the tornado threat has been even higher across much of the state today than we thought, because not just have there been a couple more tornadoes than thought, but they have been on the ground for a long time, which is why we refuse to go away from this storm, because other storms across Alabama today have been on the ground, lifting up, putting tornadoes down off and on for hours. And that is a pretty unusual situation compared to what the models were just telling us yesterday. So this right here is one of those storms that's been very, very long-lived and is going to keep on being a tornadic type of circulation here, probably for the next 30 minutes to maybe even an hour or so, because it has not lost that look whatsoever. And I still think that there's a lot of things for this to work with out ahead of it. So you still see this red and the yellow, the strong and extreme values of the shear here. It's kind of got an S shape to it. that's when we know that there's a really good rotation with this when we're using our Barron system. Of course, we go to the age-old storm relative velocity. You can still see green and red touching each other here. Those that want to see this thing in motion, you know, this thing is going to be heading in an east-northeasterly trajectory. So it's got more of an easterly component as opposed to northerly component with it. And we just got that latest scan. It's really getting ready to move into Henry County here soon, and it's still got a hook with it. And you actually notice, and I can't remember what this was called from my college days, but there's this band down here that typically shows a very, very strong storm. Andrew.
So National Weather Service said tornado warnings coming for Henry.
Okay, Henry County is going to get a tornado warning here very soon, and rightfully so, because this storm has produced a tornado here recently, and I think that it definitely has the possibility of doing that again. And it's going to pass through the far northern reaches of Henry County and then on up past Lake Eufaula as well. It's going to keep that spin that it has, I think, here, because it just has not gone away. There's only been a few scans where there was definitely a tornado on the ground, but this thing is still exceptionally strong and has very damaging wind gusts associated with it on the southern edge as well. So this is the forward flank downdraft, or the forward flanking portion of the storm here, and it's got super heavy rain with it. That's oftentimes where you'll find the highest hail probability as well. Then you start going down into this portion right here. That's where you have the area of rotation and the highest wind gusts coming out of the storm too. So those that are basically from the northern tip of Henry County down into the far northern tip of Dale County, right here, that's where the worst of the winds are going to be associated. They're going to cross over 431 here in probably the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. You notice this blinking purple box. That is a confirmed tornado warning associated with it. Yes, Andrew?
Yeah, tornado warning just came up for Henry County until 4:15.
Yes, it did. So it's right here. It goes until 4:15 for the northern portion of Henry County. That's basically exactly where I drew that line, stretching from the Dale County northern line all the way over to Lake Eufaula, is where I said that they would put this warning out, and that's exactly what they've done, because there's high confidence in its movement. Its movement is going to be in an east-northeasterly trajectory. So instead of having a real northerly component, it's or a southerly component with this. Usually you have a little bit more northern movement, but this storm's moving almost due east. So it's been riding along right on the northern edge of most of our counties here over the past almost hour and a half at this point. So they have that new warning out, tornado warning, for a storm that did put down a tornado earlier and is now, the leading edge of it is in Henry County. Let's zoom back down on some of these roads. It's already along or just past of Highway 10. Yeah, it's already moved on the northern side of Highway 10 now, and it's going to keep staying right in this northern reach of Henry County. 431, you guys are going to be the ones that are impacted by this storm next, with that intersection of 431 and County Road 81. I think it's heading right towards you guys. County Road 54 and County Road 68. You guys are a couple of places that need to know. If you're along these county roads here, you have got to be in your safe place. Yes, Andrew?
I was going to mention one community I know of for sure along 431 is Lawrenceville.
Okay, Lawrenceville on the long.
Abbeville.
Okay, so yeah. We'll zoom in just a little bit further and see if we can get some of our communities here. Edwin, you guys have got to be in your safe place right now. Edgefield and Barber County, you guys have got to be in your safe place. It is impacting Texasville as we speak. It is going to keep moving in this easterly trajectory, or east-northeast. And it's going to stay right along or south of Pleasant Hill here. So this is an extremely strong storm that has had wind gusts up to potentially 90 miles per hour and is also potentially producing a tornado too. And you could just see that there's this ball here, most likely the mesocyclone area of this storm. So this ball that's wrapping around on the southern side, this is the most intense part of the storm, and it is getting ready to impact Edwin within a matter of minutes. County Road 75 North and County Road 236, right there at that intersection. You only have a couple of minutes to get your family together and get them into their safe place. This is a tornado warned storm that did put down a tornado about 30 minutes or less ago. So this is one that you got to take seriously. Sometimes we've got tornado warnings. We can see that there's some rotation, but it's not super well defined. This is just a different story. This is one that that had very well defined rotation earlier and still looks like it's got some pretty good rotation associated with it. That red and that green there doesn't mean that there's a tornado necessarily on the, it doesn't mean that there's necessarily one on the ground right now, but it definitely has the possibility because it already did it earlier south of Clio in Barber County. And so, Andrew, you have any updates over there?
No, just some more storm reports coming out about trees down.
Okay, lots of trees down associated with this. And that means that the roadways, sometimes you're going to have a lot of trees on the roadways, so you've got to take it slow out there
and
tonight.
And power lines as well.
And power lines down. Power lines take a lot more to come down than tree limbs and trees usually do. So that gives us even more indication that this is an exceptionally strong storm, maybe even one that was producing a tornado at the time. I don't have definite locations for you on where those areas of damage are, but I can tell you it's in northern Coffee, northern Dale, southern Barber, and now moving into northern Henry County. For those in the Edwin community, Edgefield and Barber County, this is right between you guys. Everyone from Edgefield to Edwin has got to be in their safe place because this is a potentially tornadic storm and a very strong storm that had gusty winds up to 90 miles per hour at one point. I do think some of the worst gusty winds have come down a little bit, 70 miles per hour or less, but 70 miles per hour is still plenty to knock over trees and cause damage. So we'll zoom out just a little bit here. And Andrew, give me another update on what's going on further to the west because I still haven't heard any reports of what's going on out there.
Okay, for storm reports, we just got one around Ayrton, 1 mile west of Ayrton. Trees down in road on 123 north toward 231. It said after tornado was spotted, but it looks like it was someone that spotted it, like a personal report.
Okay,
of course,
so
we'll
somebody on the ground said that they got a tornado report or spotted a tornado.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's a confirmed storm spotter. Sometimes people see things that may not have happened, but this is a storm that did produce a tornado at one point. They may have seen a funnel, and we appreciate reports like that. If you guys can get us video or send in pictures to news@wdhn.com, if you're emailing it, news@wdhn.com, or send it to our Facebook page, just WDHN News, and you can Facebook message us there. You guys send in any reports of damage. You guys can send in pictures and video of damage, pictures and video of the storm. We'll put that on air later on tonight. And to be able to show people, hey, this is what happened. This is, what we were saying is a possibility, and this came through. Of course, the faster we can get it on air, if we can get it on there now, the more people that we can warn about this storm right here that's going to stay south of Eufaula and north of Abbeville. Communities along 431 between Eufaula and Abbeville have got to know where their safe place is and be heading there now. So, Andrew, I'm going to go back to our storm relative velocity. I'm going to zoom back into that spot. And I wanted to do this, zoom out to show you guys that we don't see any other areas of rotation right now. Andrew's going to keep an eye on that behind the scenes, but now we got to go to our main storm. See this red, see that green? They're getting ready. They're very close to each other. They're touching at times. Just about 35 minutes ago, we did have a tornado on the ground south of Clio, maybe even less than that. It probably wasn't even about 25 minutes ago that there was a tornado on the ground. And now this thing may have lifted, but there's still a threat of it dropping another tornado. And this isn't the first one that this specific cell dropped throughout the day today. There was another earlier one. And based on the rotation signature and the debris signature, I don't think that was a debris ball associated with this. So I don't think that there is a strong tornado on the ground right now. If there is anything, this purple box means a confirmed tornado. But that was because of what it did earlier. I do not think that there is any longer a confirmed tornado associated with this because the red and the green aren't quite as bright and aren't quite touching each other as much as what they were earlier. But they are getting ready to cross over. This area of circulation getting ready to cross over 431 and skim right along the edge of Barber and Henry County, stay right in the northern portions, the northern reaches here of Henry County, cross over Eufaula. Once it crosses over Lake Eufaula, that's when we're going to go off the air with this thing. But we wanted to stay on it the whole time because we knew that there was that possibility. It could go from Coffee to Dale all the way into Henry County, even when it exited into Barber County for that short period there. So it's been moving almost due east. So if you know that your city or that your town is in basically this area right here, and unfortunately it didn't come up with any, so we may need to change that setting later, Andrew. But this spot just west of 431, County Road 135, County Road 31, all of those folks have got to be in their safe place because of this potentially tornadic storm. Yes?
So National Weather Service chat, they were noting that the rotation has begun to increase. It's approaching 431 just south of the county line. It's going to be nearing the lake in the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So you said nearing the lake in the next 15 minutes?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So it's moving at about 45 miles per hour, I think, is what they were saying earlier?
50 miles per hour.
50 miles per hour now? Okay, so just a little bit faster than what it was earlier, but it's in an almost due easterly direction, almost due east. So if you are very familiar with this area of 431 and County Road 81 there, yeah. that is an area where you have got to know where your safe place is. Those that are right along this spot as far north as County Road 57 as well. And then I wouldn't go much farther south. Lawrenceville, no further south than Lawrenceville is there a threat associated with the storm. So those in Lawrenceville, I do think that you're outside of the main threat, but still a good idea to be inside of your safe place. Those between Lawrenceville and County Road 87 here, you guys have got to be in your safe place because this area of rotation is starting to tighten up some, and the National Weather Service has a tornado warning on this storm until 4:15. So there's another 23 minutes associated with that tornado warning, but it is right over 431 as we speak. So we'll zoom in a little bit further for those along the 431 area and try and pick up on some extra roads here. And of course, those numbers got a little bit smaller. So County Road 86 West and County Road, I think 81 there as well, right in that intersection. County Road 86 West, 86 East, and 81. You guys have got to be in your safe place, and that's all associated with that northern portion of 431. So right here, if you know those roads really well and you know that you travel them frequently and you live in that area, you have got to be in your safe place, that innermost room. Cover your head, cover your neck. And at this point, this isn't one of those situations where I'd say that you need to be in the bathtub with the mattress on it. That was earlier when we knew that this thing had extreme winds associated with it. But I think that they have brought those wind speeds down to about 60 miles per hour. And but there's still a tornadic circulation. Just doesn't look like there's one on the ground right now. So. But get into that innermost room, usually a bathroom, and hang out there on your phone watching Facebook Live. And we're going to keep you guys updated on this thing until it is past Lake Eufaula. Once it gets past Lake Eufaula, that's when we'll go back and behind the scenes and reevaluate the whole situation here. And actually, we may be able to do that right now just for a brief minute. So you're going to notice not just an increase in winds, you're going to notice an increase in lightning as well. And we'll put that lightning tracker on. So an increase in lightning in many places. And Andrew, I did click that, right? Yeah, it looks like it did. Okay, yeah, most of the lightning is on the northern side of this where the heaviest of the rain is. So maybe it has weakened just a touch, but not a whole lot. There was a lot more lightning associated with this storm earlier, and that indicated just how much intensity there was there. There's going to be super heavy rain associated with this storm too. And then you'll notice this green little band right here. That's winds going into the storm. This red here, and we just got a latest update. The red here is winds going in or away from the storm or outside of the storm. So this south of Pleasant Hill is where there's an area of rotation in Houston, or excuse me, in Henry County and in Barber County. There's this area of rotation that we're watching super duper closely. It's south of Baker Hill. You guys are just now coming out on the backside of this thing. We haven't been calling your name out because you weren't inside of the risk of a tornado or the extreme damaging winds, but you've definitely gotten heavy rain and lots of lightning as well, Andrew.
Okay, so I went over to the Birmingham chat, and Blue Springs State Park over in Barber County, where we were talking about that tornado that was down, they have multiple trees down and structural damage, but no injuries. Okay, no injuries. That's always a great thing to hear, but numerous trees down as well as structural damage, and that's typically, unless a tree fell on top of a structure, typically indicative of a tornado was on the ground at one point. You said that was in the Blue Springs Park area? Blue Springs State Park,
yes. Blue Springs State Park area has potentially tornado damage. Also down here, a little bit closer to Abbeville, but not quite to it. Abbeville, you guys are all quiet right now. Sure, maybe some wind gust outside of the storm, but you're not getting damaging winds. Just north of you guys, up 431 is where all the action is happening. You have your area of rotation up here, and you've got extremely torrential rainfall along 431. I'm going to zoom in on that spot because I want the folks in this area to know that there's not a tornado threat for you guys in Lawrenceville and County Road 50. But from County Road 50 to Lawrenceville, there is extremely heavy rainfall associated with this storm. Likely not a hail threat, but just super heavy rain. Let's zoom back out some, and we're going to go a little bit further north, back to where the tornadic rotation is. Scottsboro Crossroads, folks, you guys are going to want to be in your safe place because this storm is going to be impacting you very, very soon. It's riding right along this Henry. You see the black line here? It's very difficult to see, but this is the Henry County and Barber County line right here, and that area of rotation is right along it or just north of it, and we got a new update there and it's going to clip this northern edge of Henry County again before it crosses over Lake Eufaula and is out of here. It'll be in Clay County, and then it's going to move off. This stays south of Eufaula. Those that are in Eufaula, I want you to know you're getting heavy rain, you're getting some lightning, maybe some gusty winds, but you're not getting the worst of this storm. It will stay far south of Eufaula, but it will impact the northern portion of Lake Eufaula here in Henry County and in Clay County, right between the two. Andrew, you're checking your phone. Is there any additional update on other storms out there?
No, but there is another report of some damage. It's still the Ayrton area. It's from the EMA director. Trees down across Highway 51 and County Road 52 near Ayrton. It seems like Ayrton's the spot where we have a lot of tree damage from. A lot of tree damage,
and that was a really great idea, right, Andrew, for the school system to hold those kids. Yeah, that's one of the best things. We've talked with some school instructors about that before. If there are storms moving in, best thing isn't to send them home early, but to keep them there just a little bit longer. And I'm glad that they did that today. I think that's the safest thing for them to do. Just their decision to keep our kids safe. So. Debris detector, we're not seeing any sort of debris associated with this thing right now, but there still is some rotation. Andrew, I know you got an update for me. What is it?
I was going to say with this storm, it's actually going to be heading into a more favorable environment according to the mesoscale discussion as it moves over into southwest Georgia. So I expect this storm to probably start ramping up after it crosses the state line.
Okay, so and that's because they haven't gotten a whole lot of storms earlier today, so they still have a lot of energy to work with here, and the upper level winds are probably a little bit more favorable over there. But between Pleasant Hill and Scottsboro Crossroads, that's where the surface winds are not a good situation right now. That's where the area of rotation is at this point, and that latest scan, it looks like it's moving into the Coates area south of White Oak. So White Oak, Coates, folks, you guys have got to be in your safe place because you are underneath this tornado warning. This is a storm that did put down a tornado earlier. I'd say at this point it was probably about 35 minutes ago, maybe a little bit longer. But anywhere between Pleasant Hill, Scottsboro Crossroads, Coates, and White Oak, you guys got to be in your safe place because this is a storm that could produce another tornado at any point. It's not looking nearly as organized as earlier, but these are the winds going toward the radar, and these are the winds going away. So there's still definitely rotation just north or in the Scottsboro Crossroads area, getting ready to cross over 431. Yes, Andrew.
Now we got power outage reports from P River Electric in the Ayrton area again. 469 people are affected due to the storm.
All right, and when I said 431, excuse me, I meant, and I'm going to have to zoom back in here, but from the road south of White Oak between Screamer and the White Oak area, actually moving over Screamer right now is where this area of rotation is. Andrew, if you could remind me of that road between White Oak and Screamer, that would be great. And again, this is just east of 431. So those that are west of 431 now, you guys no longer have a tornado threat associated with this specific storm. You still got some very heavy rain, some gusty winds as well. We'll show you the reflectivity, the rain aspect of this thing. This is exceptionally heavy rain, torrential rainfall. Fortunately, it's not going to last for a super long time, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's extreme ponding on roadways, hydroplaning possible. We had a report of an accident earlier associated with this storm, and that was probably because of not just gusty winds, but the super torrential rainfall. And that, you see this right here, that is exceptional rain. Now let me see if that may be a hail indicator there. I don't quite think so. Yeah, we don't see a hail indicator in that specific spot. It gives us these little bitty indications of hail, but Andrew, if you'll check on radar scope for me on the Ville and let me know if you see anything on that. But hail was not going to be our biggest threat today. It was always going to be the damaging wind threat and then the potential for a tornado. And this was going to be a tornado threat today. You're not seeing any, yeah, I'm not seeing any hail threat associated with this either. So it's damaging wind gusts, especially along the southern edge here, and then also the threat for a tornado. So you'll notice these very bright purples. That's torrential rainfall. You'll notice that this kind of wraps in around here. That's where there's a threat for a tornado. But then from basically this point south, that's where you have all of the extremely gusty winds. There are going to be gusty winds outside of those areas, but the extreme and the dangerous portion of this is going to be right along the northern tip of Henry County and then points south to almost the Lawrenceville area, or basically to the Lawrenceville area, I should say, is where the extremely gusty winds are moving through right now. And it's getting ready to cross over Lake Eufaula and staying just north of Fort Gaines. So let's do, Andrew, I'm going to zoom out and show everyone else all the rest of these storms. These are all fairly tame in nature compared to what we're dealing with in northern Henry County and in Barber County right now. As this moves into Clay County across state lines, that is undoubtedly our strongest storm and has been the strongest storm throughout the day today. All the rest of these storms, it's going to be moderate to heavy rain for about 20 to 30 minutes or so off and on. It'll pick up here and there. And there will be some gusty winds, but not extreme gusty winds like what we had with this one. So I'm going to zoom back in on it. Andrew, do you have any additional updates over there?
Not for now.
Okay. All right. And your microphone may be muted.
Yeah, we're
there
good.
you go. So this is the spot that there is very likely rotation here in the potential for a tornado. It is the far, far northern reaches of Henry County. We've been talking about a lot of counties over the past couple of hours. The Coates area, White Oak, toward Rick's Place. You guys have got to be in your safe place. Screamer community, this is passing through your area. You have got to be in your safe place because we can see this inflow notch going all the way around on the backside of Screamer even. So this thing is really trying to tighten here. It hasn't been super successful recently, which is great. But it's really trying. You see those winds going toward the radar and then going away. It's trying to tighten there between Screamer, Coates, White Oak area. Yes.
So they did just extend this tornado warning into Georgia, but it still includes that northeastern portion of Henry County. That's going to be until 4:30. Of course, going into Clay and Quitman counties, it'll be until 5:30.
Okay. So, and that's 5:30 Eastern time. Yes. So for those in Clay County, you've got a tornado warning. Go ahead and watch WRBL. They'll give you your latest update on this storm. Those in Barber County, be watching WRBL. They're giving you a latest update as well. They may know your communities better than we do. But for us here in the Coates, Screamer, White Oak area in Henry County, you guys have got to be in your safe place because this storm has the potential to produce a tornado. Doesn't look like there's one on the ground right now. The scans that we're getting recently aren't quite as organized as what they were earlier when they put down that tornado over in Barber County just south of Clio. We haven't seen anything as indicative of that tornadic nature here recently. So we don't see any debris being lofted. We did see that when it was south of Clio, and that's how Andrew and I were both able to say there's a tornado on the ground right now. National Weather Service shortly after that said there was definitely a tornado on the ground, but it looked like it was only for a short time period. At this point, it just doesn't look quite as organized, and it definitely doesn't look like there's any debris being lofted, but we still want folks to be taking this very seriously because it has a history. When you have a history with a storm producing a tornado, this one put one down north of Mobile, then it put one down in Barber County. That's hundreds of miles away, but it did it twice at least, maybe even one or two times in between, right along the I-65 corridor. So just because it did it before doesn't mean it can't do it again. It actually has more of a chance of doing it again at that point. So this thing's still running into favorable conditions to produce potentially another tornado in northern Henry County. We'll take off the lightning here, and we're going to zoom in on northern Henry County so we can talk about those communities again. I know I've mentioned White Oaks multiple times. I've mentioned Coates, Screamer, Sharon Drive, folks, all the way up to Rick's Place. You guys want to be in your safe place. I know that Rick's Place is on the other side of Lake Eufaula. That's over in Clay County. Once this thing is officially out of here, we'll hop off of TV. We'll do a summation of everything that's been going on. But again, until this thing is out of Henry County, we have got to stay on it because of that potential to drop another tornado. Andrew.
More trees down in Skipperville.
Okay.
County Road 68 and County Road 33, the junction where.
Up in northern Dale County?
Yeah.
Okay. So northern Dale County, like we said, northern Coffee and northern Henry into southern Barber. Those places are probably going to have a lot of trees down. Let me zoom out a little bit here and show you where the most treacherous travel is going to be. It's right here, so I'll try and circle it for you. It's going to be basically from here all the way over. That is where the most treacherous road conditions are going to be because of the potential for downed trees and power lines on roadways. So if you have got to be in those areas, please take it slow. The roads are wet, which is bad enough, but when you've got the threat for debris being in the roadway, you can't hit those brakes fast enough sometimes, or someone in front of you has hit the brakes and you didn't quite realize it. And that's the situation that you're going to run into up here in this big oval that I just drew for you guys. That's where there's the potential for damage, debris on roadways causing hazardous travel conditions. Those that are south of that area, the rest of southern Coffee County, now you're getting a lot of rain, Dale County into western Geneva. It's just rain and some gusty winds, but we're not seeing any tornadic circulations, and we're not seeing extreme gusty winds out of this either. So your travel isn't going to be as hazardous, but please still take it slow out there. The threat for damage and debris on roadways is going to be in northern Coffee, Dale, Henry County, into southern Pike potentially, and southern Barber as well. So that's what we're seeing in the potential of very hazardous travel. Andrew, any additional updates on this storm? I know that it's becoming a little bit more sporadic, but it still has a hook to it and still has a little rotation there. I haven't seen it tighten up here recently.
No, but it looks like now it is starting to move across the state line.
Yeah, it's moving across the state line. We'll give it another couple of minutes before we hop off of TV. We're going to stay on Facebook Live just a touch longer, but we'll give it another couple of minutes on for our TV folks, because this area right here over Lake Eufaula is the area of potential rotation, but it's not nearly as intense as what it was earlier. And for all those that have stuck with us from the beginning, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for those that have called up family members and said, hey, we want to let you know that there's something bad happening in your area, because that's how lives get saved. You got to care about the other people that are around you. Sometimes they're not in front of a TV. They could be on a roadway, and you could give them life-saving information saying you should pull off the road, you should hop into a gas station, or you need to be looking at Facebook Live and finding out what road you're on compared to where the area of circulation is. It's why we try and talk about roads so much, because there are people out there and they recognize roadways, and they, of course, we can't give an exact address, but they recognize roadways that they frequently travel. You can call a family member, or you yourself know that this is a dangerous situation for me. So the area of rotation is now over Lake Eufaula, moving into Clay County, and then it'll be moving north of that here soon. So I think that the threat for Henry County, Andrew, could you agree, is done at this point for tornadic circulation? Yes, so no longer a tornado threat. There's still a warning, but no longer looks like a tornado threat in Henry County. This is well north of Fort Gaines. This is our Henry County community area. That was White Oaks, Coates, Screamer community. You guys are all now outside of a tornado threat. Yes, you still have a tornado warning, but you are outside of a tornado threat at this point. And I'll click it there just to show it still technically goes until 4:30, but it's moved a little bit faster and has moved out of here. So we're not concerned with a tornado threat anymore in Henry County. There's still very heavy rain, but tornadoes and the damaging wind gusts look to be done entirely for Henry County right now. Let's zoom out, since this is the cell and it's in Clay County, and that's going to be WRBL's area to cover, right, Andrew?
Correct.
Okay, Clay County. If you guys tune in to WRBL, what channel is that?
Channel 3.
Channel 3. Go ahead and tune into Channel 3. You guys want to stay up with this, Cuthbert folks. You guys want to stay up with this because it is has a history of producing a tornado. But your folks are WRBL. They are your meteorologists that are going to help cover you. We're going to talk about our area now for the rest of southeast Alabama and down into the Panhandle. Looking really good in the Panhandle, guys. Those that are in Early County, you may be tuning in and say, what the heck is going on here? It's been a bad situation in southeast Alabama, right along the county lines of Pike, Coffee, Dale, Barber, and Henry County. Now it's moved. It's staying north of Blakely for sure, but it is staying right along Lake Eufaula and then points east-northeast of that, moving toward the Cuthbert area. So this storm, the worst out of all the storms that we have out there, is now moving out of our area, and all the rest of them are significantly weaker. You don't see nearly as much lightning associated with these storms. There's a couple little pockets here or there, but notice how this one has so much more lightning than the rest of them. It's because it's significantly stronger and more intense than the rest of these storms. Also, when we were looking at our velocity earlier, we did not see any areas of rotation. It's all winds blowing in primarily the same direction. We knew that the further south you go, the lower that threat for severe weather would be. But this, again, was the far southernmost storm that was really packing a punch. It came up from the Mobile area, where it had produced a tornado just north of Mobile, and just kind of glided along I-65 and then was moving through Connecticut County into Covington County here, and then crossed over Coffee and then started doing more of an easterly jog as opposed to northeasterly. And at this point, it does look like it has weakened some, but its threat for us has gone away entirely. So I know that we still have some severe thunderstorm warnings, some tornado warnings, but those things will be expired here soon because there's no longer a threat for severe weather associated with that specific storm any longer, and it doesn't look like there's any area of rotation associated with any of the other storms that we have in Dale, Coffee, and Geneva County. Yes, you're going to get heavy rain. Sure, you'll get some gusty winds, but there's not extreme winds like what we had with this storm, and there's not doesn't look like any sort of tornado threat associated with them either. So, Julian, if you can let me know when that next TV, when they rejoin regular programming, that would be great. What's that? Okay. So we're going to send those that are on TV, we're going to send you guys back into regular programming. And again, we're going to be right here behind the scenes. We're going to be right here behind the scenes. We're going to be covering everything here on Facebook Live for just a few more minutes. We're going to talk more about the timing of these storms and when it's all out of here. And then we're going to finish things up. We're going to go into our regular show at 5 o'clock. Join us there because storms will still be in the area at 5 and likely at 6 o'clock. Once we get past 6, things start to wind back down. So thank you for everybody that's tuned in to us today. Stay safe out there. Avoid the roads in northern Henry, northern Dale, northern Coffee County, and southern Pike and southern Barber as well because of numerous trees down as well as power lines too. So for those on TV, we're sending you guys back to regular programming. Andrew and I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to stay live on Facebook. All right. So, again, we still got storms, guys, but I can't reiterate enough. All of these are so much weaker than what we just went through here in the far northern reaches of our viewing area. That was definitely one of the stronger ones that has moved through and will move through our area today. Definitely not the strongest one that we've actually seen in Alabama, though. The strongest ones that we've seen in Alabama were much further north. And, Andrew, we may... You know what, that's okay. We'll cover more of that during the WDHN 5 and 6 o'clock shows. But there were multiple tornadoes that were on the ground for an extended period of time north of Montgomery, between Montgomery and Birmingham, near the Clara area and Clanton, I believe. And Selma got hit really hard with a tornado as well. So there's been a pretty more intense situation than most of us meteorologists were expecting for the day. And weather always changes. That's why we try and keep on our own toes. And the weather helps keep us on our toes. But we always try and keep everybody updated throughout the day, letting you know. That's why we gave extra updates. Even when it was outside of our area, we started posting online about this thing. And we did a quick TV cut-in and we did some Facebook Live cut-ins to let people know this is what's going on right now and it's going to move into our area. And it was dire enough that we knew that we had to give a heads up, especially before it moved in. So just a rewrap of what happened. There was a storm that moved up from almost just north of Mobile, moved through Connecticut County, through Covington County, and then started clipping the northern edge of Coffee County, Dale County, Barber County as well, Pike, right in this area. It started riding a little bit more easterly, right along the county lines here, and did put down a tornado just south of Clio. Now, there was some damage reported Zion Chapel area. I think some trees down and some structural damage, Andrew?
Yeah, minor damage.
Minor damage.
School.
And Zion Chapel, I think, decided to keep their kids back before they didn't want to send them off, of course, with the storms. Ayrton did the same thing. Some folks may be wondering about what's going on in Dothan. I believe that they've already sent all the kids home. I believe that they've got another 45 minutes to an hour or so before these storms get here, and it's not going to be nearly as intense. So you may get some wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, maybe just a touch stronger than that, but we're not looking at anything nearly as intense here on the southern edge as what we just went through, at least at this point. Of course, we're going to be behind the scenes monitoring absolutely everything, but this storm, which you just saw a new severe thunderstorm warning come out for, that storm, undoubtedly the strongest one that has been along the southern edge of the line. There hasn't been a single warning south of I-10 today, I don't think. So for those that are wondering about the panhandle,
there's been one.
There's been just one. Was it early this morning?
No, it was during the severe weather coverage.
Okay, okay.
I think it was a supercell that was out ahead of the line. It was like closer to Apalachicola.
Okay, near the Apalachicola area?
Yeah.
All right, so, but again, most of the rest of the area has been just void of warnings, and that's because the southern edge just didn't have quite the shear components, the winds higher up. It had a little bit more energy, had some higher dew points, but you need all of the ingredients, and when it doesn't have the winds higher up in the atmosphere helping spin things up, you're not going to get nearly as many warnings. But the far southernmost portion of those higher and gustier winds in the atmosphere, higher up in the atmosphere, that was riding right along the northern edge of our viewing area, and we knew that there was that possibility to get a tornado today, and this may have been the one, and I think it was just south of Clio. So, and that will probably be the only one that we get anywhere close to our area. And most of the rest of this line is starting to become significantly more tame. There's another warning right along state line of Georgia and Alabama, heading toward Macon here, but still well west of them. Augusta's got a tornado warning north of them. There's another severe thunderstorm warning well north of Macon. So the northern edge is northern portion of this line through central Alabama and now moving into central Georgia is where the worst of the severe weather has been, and that's pretty much where they pinpointed the worst of the severe weather would be. So I think Storm Prediction Center did a good job predicting that today. So again, there have been probably a lot of folks on Facebook Live asking questions about who has the all clear and who still hasn't gotten storms yet. Dothan area hasn't gotten any storms yet, but you guys are going to get it here within the next 30-45 minutes or so, and lasting for another hour or a little bit longer than that. So I do think, and just to give a timeline to those that are watching, I do think that Ozark, you're getting it right now, and you're going to be done with it within the next hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Dothan, you haven't gotten it yet. You give it until maybe 5:30 or so. 5:30 is the latest that it will show up and be passing through our area. It's been right on time. Everything has been right up to par for what we were expecting for the day, except for a slightly higher wind threat and slightly higher tornado threat as well. But we said that there's a possibility of one tornado, and there was one that was in Clio that's as close as it, or just south of Clio, that's as close as it gets to our area. And then we also knew that the higher threat would be damaging wind gusts. But even those gusts, Andrew, I see you nodding your head, exceeded our expectation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if we did actually get 90-mile-per-hour gusts like what the National Weather Service is estimating happened, that is exceptional.
Substantial.
Yeah, that is exceptional wind gusts, and that's why we had all the damage reports north of Andalusia near Gant Lake area and portions of northern Coffee, Dale, and into Henry County too. So that's all the update that we can get right now. I can tell you guys this, that these storms are weakening. We're not entirely done with them yet, but the southern edge of this thing is significantly weaker than those on the northern edge. Andrew, if they just gave any extra updates for these storms on the southern edge, let me know.
Yeah, they haven't.
And was it just for the one that crossed over Lake Eufaula?
Yeah, they canceled the Henry County tornado warning just now, actually.
Yeah, so, and that's why we went off TV before that warning was canceled, because we knew that there was no longer a threat. We would never go off of air unless we knew that there's no longer a threat. Andrew and I are always in consensus before we hop off TV. But again, these storms down here are just some gusty winds and pretty moderate to heavy rainfall, and that's what we're expecting out of the rest of these. The tornado threat has been significantly lower with all of these storms, and by significantly lower I mean I have not seen even one area of rotation here throughout the past hour or so, and Andrew's been watching it behind the scenes as well. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything. Andrew, you haven't seen anything, right?
No.
Okay, so we'll keep watching, but it doesn't look like there are any areas of rotation. So if you guys have damage reports, if you guys have pictures or video of the storms, pictures or video of damage, you guys can send it our way. Email news@wdhn.com. Facebook message WDHN News. You can just send it right there on Facebook Messenger. Or if you want to send it to my personal Twitter or Facebook, it's Matthew Wine WX or Matthew Wine _WX on Facebook or on Twitter. You should just be able to type in Matthew Wine WX and it should come up with my name right away. Send it to me and we'll put it on air later on tonight. Again, for everyone that joined, me, Andrew Clark, we appreciate you guys staying up to date with us, and we're going to keep watching things behind the scenes through the rest of this evening. By the time 7 o'clock rolls around, everybody's severe weather threat should be done, at least for our viewing area. So that's all we have for now. You guys go be safe out there. Avoid those roadways in the northern portions of Henry into Coffee and Henry, Dale, and Coffee counties, and also in southern Pike and southern Barber, because there's the potential for lots of trees as well as power lines down in those spots. Just take it slow and give yourself extra space between you and the car in front of you. So we'll keep watching from here. Thank you guys for watching from home.